inside, we know it's not our responsibility to live up to someone else's expectations of us, and it's more than okay to want something different for ourselves. But sometimes we lose our way. I've got an author I'd like you to meet who sincerely believes if you're tired of being what someone else expects you to be, her poetic soapbox of monologues, soliloquies that she's created are for you. Listen in, and we'll hear more about her book and her writing process.
Welcome to A Book Finds You podcast. This week's guest is Zorina Frey. Join us as she shares the inspiration behind her book, along with her writing process, routines, and challenges. And now, here's your host, best-selling author, Rob Jallis.
Today's guest, Zorina Frey, is a publishing content writer, spoken word poet, Pushcart Prize winner. Her writings are featured in Shondaland, Journal of Poetry, Therapy, and Chicken Soup for the Soul, I'm Speaking Now. Her screenplay, Harley Quinn Origin, received an honorable mention at the Birmingham Film Festival in the United Kingdom, and she was a semi-finalist for the reality TV pilot, America's Next Great Author. Happy to have you with us, and welcome to the show, Zorina.
Thank you, Rob. Happy to be here.
Yeah. You know, I have a first question, but I've decided to bump it. Give me 30 seconds on that America's Next Great Author, because that's a new one for me. What was that all about?
Well, I'm not going to get on it because I forgot the names of the producer.
I don't think they'll hold that against you.
They should. They should. It was a very long time ago, and we've lost correspondence. But this was a couple years ago, and it was all about finding a good story. And they solicited aspiring writers, writers who have been published, all of them from all over the country, to pitch. And that is what we did. And then we were all brought to New Jersey, which is where it was shot. And it was just so magical. Everyone, I mean, just when you're in the company of other artists and just with the hopes of just someone actually recognizing you, it was just electric. It had to have been over like 100 people there. And this was the pilot that they were shooting so that they could shop this, which they're still shopping, by the way. And so you never know, you might see me on the big screen one day.
Well, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I don't talk about this much, but in a sense, I think I was almost on really the first reality show ever. And I don't think it really was Survivor. I think you go back to the late 70s, early 80s. Believe it or not, we made it to the green room and were timed out, et cetera, for the Gong Show in the first year. And if you think about it, that was kind of a reality show of this is just people with their acts, and we're going to see what this all transpires to. There's no set script for that. Off we go. But I was in Burbank, California, and we were cued in. I met Milton DeLugg and the band with a thug and the rest of them. But anyway, all right, let's get back to you and your book. I just thought I'd share because I really never talk about that, but I think that really was the first, from what I could tell. Who knows?
It is something about being in the company and community with just how the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
How filmmaking, I should say, no matter what the genre, whether it's a commercial or a reality show, just knowing that there is just something happening and you're part of it would just be, I mean, I can't even imagine if I were ever to be part of a motion picture. That's just crazy. But I get excited over commercial, even the reality show is just
right.
Great.
No, you're right. And it's an energy that you really can't simulate or explain. You have to be there, and it's and it'll make your knees knock. When the camera's trained on you. So it is interesting. All right, let's talk about preaching to the mic, which follows a 20-something single woman of faith into awkward and compromising situations. All right, the podcast is called A Book Finds You. So How did that book find you? Not how did you find it? How did it find you?
This particular book, Preaching to the Mic, is actually a compilation of
Hmm?
three different books that I published. And they're all pretty much the same, with just me wanting to get stuff off of my back, or my chest, I should say, chest and back.
A lot of
Life gets
weight.
kind of heavy, right? You
Yeah.
carry things that you don't necessarily should. And so the book is part of Sticks and Stones, Conquering Haters with Poetry. And then my first one, which was I Won't Apologize for Being a Woman. And then the third one is Don't Mind Being Black. And so I've just put all of these together because you know what, Rob? I was kind of a self-publishing whore. I just did it too much. And I don't have anything against it. It was just more about me being impatient and tired of the rejections going through the process. And this was on the dawn of platforms where you can just submit your work and voila, just upload and, click here and there for design and you have a book. Uh, so the first one went very well. I won't apologize for being a woman because a lot of people didn't really grasp the concept of self-publishing. They still felt like they still thought you had to go through the big people and get validated. So that made a lot of noise. It was like, oh my God, you got published. And I'm like, I'm running with this. And because why not, right? And in my hometown did a nice spread on it. I pretty much had like a one page to myself in my hometown in the newspaper. So it was a pretty big deal. Sold a sufficient amount of copies, although not enough to quit my day job.
Right.
It was, I mean, and then especially like for a book of poetry, it wasn't bad at all.
Right.
Um, and then after that, I'm like, let me just do this and that and this and
Yeah,
that,
this getting
and just
the stuff off your chest thing's working out pretty well. Let's keep going, right?
yeah. And I was also teaching myself just, the software of just laying out the interior of the book. I really got into the designing and teaching. I was just self-taught in, well, not really. I did get a certificate in web design, and that included, uh, Photoshop and all that. But I just really found that I was really enjoying the process of creating the book as well as, just the poetry. So, as far as the book finding me, the reason why this one came together is because once I got my MFA, I realized that I began to write a different type of poetry. And it's not that what I have here is bad poetry. It's just spoken word poetry that hasn't been refined as much, and which is why I called it preaching to the mic, because a lot of it, having come from a Midwestern town where there's a bunch of churches on every corner, I came up with a strong Pentecostal Baptist background. So you can call preaching to the mic a church version, a religious version of Issa Rae's Insecure. And so it's just this awkward Black girl and, trying to exist in this community of believers and where everyone is trying to be the best version of themselves
Yeah.
one day out of the week.
That's actually a good title too. Being the best version of yourself one day a week. I
Yes,
like that. That we got to
take
hold
my
on to that
course.
one. I think you found something there.
I think so. Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that most writers really, it all begins with getting something off your chest. We usually have something that's kind of burning there. But I've had a few things that I had to really get off my chest, and they wouldn't come together. And I had an editor tell me once that's usually kind of an indication that this isn't a book. Step one is you got to have a burn in your belly. It's something that you really need to say, want to say, gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who are listening who struggle with writing, sometimes when you just can't get out of the blocks, you have to sort of reevaluate what it is you think you're getting off your chest. So
Mm-hmm.
for you, how do you know? I get that you wanted to get this off your chest, but how do you know when an idea is worth pursuing?
Well, that's part of the narcissism of being an artist. You think everything you do and create is is worth it.
Yeah.
um I mean, I can't say you, I mean, I can't speak for every artist, but I feel like that's kind of my thing, where, oh, ooh, look at this, what I just made, look what I can do. And that's where the over self-publishing comes into play, where and being a spoken word poet, I feel like that's where it comes from, because spoken word is just so raw, and there is really not that much editing. You're just really crying from your heart, and if it rhymes, it rhymes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's more about the cadence and the delivery.
Hmm.
And so there is, and it's really where the authenticity comes from. So yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know if
that's
I answered your
interesting.
question.
Yeah, you know, you did, and you helped me out a great deal. I actually have never knew sort of the formal definition for a spoken word,
Mhm,
author, a spoken word poet. So
mhm,
you've helped me with that, and that's probably why you don't if it's spoken word and it's supposed to be raw, there we don't put the brakes on anything.
mhm,
For many other people, when it's not that way and they're just trying to fiddle and faddle and get it right,
mhm.
it can be tough. Now, if you don't mind, I'll talk out of the other side of my mouth because sometimes that's when our best writing occurs. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we just bail out because it's tough on Tuesday.
Mhm.
Dig in, you'll probably love whatever comes out of this, and it's going to take 5 times longer than that other five
Absolutely.
pages. You'll love this more than anything because it's forming. Right now, it's forming.
Absolutely. I love it. And that was something that was really hard for me to come to terms with, because
Mm,
when you get into trying and to inform, it's almost like you're going against the whole point of spoken word, the fact that it's so raw and it's underground and no one's touching it. And it's like, oh, you're taking away my voice. But it's not really that. It's all about trusting the process, from, spoken word, I feel like, in free form is like first draft, right?
yeah.
And so it's all beautiful, it's all beautiful. And just the more you tinker with it, I mean, although I did learn that, you can tinker with it so much that you can absolutely lose its authenticity. I mean, look at hip hop rap. So, with what the industry is doing to it today, it's a shame. But yeah, so it's just about that push pull of just being able to get the message just right, and still keep its I need to look up another word for authenticity, but it's just so, I mean, that's the word. It's a drinking game. Whoever's listening, every time I say authenticity, you can just throw one back.
Yeah, but I think it's as a guy who just finished a book on authenticity. Okay, I'm rather fond of the word, but I actually think you're right. We can find other words for it, but we can't substitute its importance. It's
Mhm.
so important, not just in as a writer, but in life. I mean, a lot of our success or our challenges falls into, well, do people believe what you're saying? And as simple and trite as that may sound, some people, their pitch doesn't change a whole lot, their pace doesn't change a whole lot. It's just the
Mhm.
way they are. And
Mhm.
so they struggle with that. And when you struggle with that, it gets in your way in many, many different areas. It's
Yeah,
it's
you
tough.
cannot 100% lose that, especially with AI
Yeah.
doing AI things,
Yeah.
So, I've tested it, and AI can totally write a poem, but it's
Right.
not going to grab the soul of the meaning. And that's where we as human writers come in,
Yeah.
and where we'll always be needed. And so, just to touch on AI, I am like 100% non-intimidated by it.
Good. Good. Yeah, I'm with you on that. As a matter of fact, if anything, I really kind of keep it away from me for I'll tell you where I use it in a moment, but for the most part, I keep it away because I fear that it will weaken the whatever writing muscle I have
Hmm.
to keep bailing out and going, well, let's have this do a not so good version of what I'm really after, but I can at least get it done. I don't like it. I don't want, I want to, the struggle is part of what we writers do. I
Hmm.
will tell you the
Yep.
only cheat that I have with AI is I do like it for titling, not just a book, but a
Ooh,
chapter. Oh, yeah. It
that
titles
is
very
no,
well.
I'm not. I don't hate AI. I'm a
Yeah.
teacher. I use it for lesson planning as
Right.
well. I'm like, I'm
Right.
not like, there's only so many sentences I can think of.
Right. Right. All right, let's talk about your writing process a little bit, or your writing routine.
Mhm.
Do you have a place that you like to write, or a time, or a kind of a? How does it work with you?
Oh my goodness. In the earlier days, it used to be at night. I liked writing at night because the world kind of settled down.
Mm,
And as a poet, you're just kind of sensitive to all of what's happening around you, right? You know, there's no car swishing back and forth as much. Things are settling down. And so, and you have like, it's a way to kind of cap off the day. It's a way to, have that conversation of what you should have said at work or something like that,
yeah.
the woulda, coulda, shoulda, the wanting, the yearnings, all that stuff. It all comes out at night. And I was single too, so I didn't have any responsibilities or anyone to answer to. Now it's become a little bit, these days, it's a little bit more structured. I have, and now we have Zoom, right? So it's about joining writing groups. And so I'm disciplined and okay, I've got a 10 o'clock on Sunday, I've got a 7 o'clock on Wednesday. And if I do nothing else, I'm going to those places, those spaces, and I'm writing something. And then there's the projects that you mentioned too, the ones that just are burning.
Mm,
And those things just happen. I could just be in the middle of working. And you fit those in wherever you can because it's that thing that thing you have to get off your chest. And so, yeah, okay, I might be on the clock, but I'm just gonna shrink this window right here and give it like enough, just a 3 minutes. So I just have it there. It's
right.
the equivalent of writing a note or something like that. I could be on the couch at night, having quality time with my husband. We're just watching TV and I've got a laptop right next to me on the couch, So and then in the bedroom, I've got a book. So I'm doing these little stations that I have.
Words coming in, words going out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Words,
Yeah.
words are flying around you. How about, do you blog?
Answer to that is no. I do have an online literary journal, but I'm not doing any of that. I'm not blogging. I'm the editor of that. So there's the reading and everything. That would be the closest thing. I'm
Okay.
also, well, I'm transitioning out of being a poetry editor for South 85 for other responsibilities. No, that's
Well, I'm glad you said, listen, I am a blogger. Okay. I've been blogging for almost 16 years, on a regular schedule, everything, every 2 weeks, a blog comes out for 16 years. And so, as a person who does that, and I do it for business, but as a person who does it, every time I go to a website and see a tab that says blog, I'll always go over there. And
Mhm,
I would say 98% of the time, it's like, okay, we had one 4 years ago and 7 years ago. We're not really blogging. I actually
mhm,
think it's smart. If you don't blog, don't blog. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's so many other ways to do it. It's just another exercise, like an athlete, might be a,
mhm,
a basketball player. I'm just, working my left hand now. I'm just working on
mhm,
my jump shot. Blogs
mhm.
kind of keep me going. How about journaling? Do you journal?
I have journals all over the place. Yes, I do. I really do. But I'm not consistent. That's like the other
Well, it's
thing
supposed to
where,
be, but do you
yeah.
ever tap into it? Do you ever get little pieces that, because talk about raw, for most
Mhm,
journals, they're really raw. Do
mhm.
you ever discover things or find things that you can pull over to your writing, to your poetry?
Absolutely. I find I do my best prompt writing when I go to writing conferences
Mm,
because that's where my notebook, that's what I use my journals for. anytime I go to conferences, any book conference, writing conference, literary conference. And I'm in the workshops, and someone can say something that is, just doing it could be the instructor, it can be someone putting their 2 cents in. And I'm thinking, oh, that's a good poem idea. That's not a good idea for a poem or something like that. So I give myself these bookmarks so
Right.
that I can revisit them later. And
Good. Yeah. It's nice we all have these smartphones. Years ago when I was working on my first book in like the early 90s, you would write me little scraps of paper all over the place. Because,
mhm,
particularly at night when you woke up, I'd scribble something down real fast and it wasn't nearly as brilliant in the morning. But I really do like just having that little ability to record on the phone, or even what is it, Microsoft Notes, just certain things that I can take a note, it'll go to my laptop, etc. But we as writers, you have to listen to that voice, and
mhm.
not the other one that says, "Don't worry, you'll remember."
Yeah.
That voice will haunt you. Yeah, all I remember is the voice that I'll remember. I don't remember anything else.
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
so
voice.
true. I was just admiring the fact that you said you actually wake up and write everything down, even though it may not make sense the next day. I have not even come close to mastering and listening to that
Yeah,
I mean, there are some wonderful things, melodies, just all types of cool things I'm just not catching, man.
yeah.
Just
You,
not-
you know, I'll tell you a funny story real fast. I mean, like 20 years ago or something, I woke up and I had this song in my head, and it was amazing, and I could hear it and feel it, and talk about writing. I actually created like a staff and a treble clef, and I'm not great at writing music, but
Mhm,
I wrote this out. That's how powerful it
mhm,
was. And in the
mhm.
morning, I was humming it and heard it, and about 3 days later, I heard it on the radio. So it was a Tom Petty song. It was free
Well,
falling, as a matter of fact. And I remember going,
oh,
oh, that's where it came from. But I did write it out, and you know what? It was a good song. It just wasn't mine, unfortunately.
maybe you were supposed to write a remix. I don't know.
Have you ever abandoned a project? Just a poem, just said, you know what? It's just not happening. I'm gonna let it go.
I have done that. Of course, of
Mm,
course. Sometimes it calls me though. And for example, I mean, we're talking about songs. I went through this phase where I was just writing songs, and they're like, "Oh, what the heck? I'll just put that aside." And now I'm seeing things like songwriting contests. I'm like, huh.
yeah.
And so now I'm going back to that, and so I'm like, oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It just needs a little this and that. I just need to learn some other things before I could even work with it. So I don't know. You may see me getting a Grammy one day.
There you go. Why not? And it all started with my poetry. Uh,
Yeah, it all starts with poetry.
I want to thank me because I'm a poet and it really helped. Uh, all right.
Oh,
Let's,
can I please? I want to please be able to make that speech.
yeah, you and me both. Uh, all right, we're coming down the home stretch, but let's talk about the marketing side of all this. It's an area where, yeah, everybody kind of groans. It's funny. I teach a program on it, and I couldn't draw flies. And the moment I put marketing on a budget, and then I filled my classes up. So
Mhm,
there's always a budget involved. But I'm just stressing to authors, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to what you've created to at least give it your best shot.
mhm.
So talk to us a little bit about one of your, just something that you do or a best shot that you take that somebody else could learn from, listen, and maybe apply themselves.
Rob, it's that, love hate thing, the push pull thing when it
Yeah.
comes to marketing, especially when you're a writer, because then you have to shift out of the world that you built, no matter what the genre. Even with poetry, there's this world that you've built as a collective, and you have to sum it up in a tagline. And it's like, that was like, all of you want me to put my heart and soul and all these things that happened to me in a tagline. And yes, the answer is yes. And so then once you get past that, then you have to get past the whole thing of, just being the introvert. I mean, there's a level of introvert that you have to be as a writer and comfortable with it. Then you have to switch from that and then start being comfortable talking about yourself not only talking about yourself, but how great you are,
Yeah.
how great you and your writing is, and why you should spend money on me, and somehow have that sound humbling, but assertive, with a nice call to action. And I've worked as a copywriter for an agency. And so I had no problem cheering on other people and all that. But me, it was like, okay, I've written this thing. Do I really believe it's that good? And it's that whole thing with just being like, okay, you're not a fraud. You're a fraud. No, I'm not. This is good stuff. So it's that tortured artist, or should I say, take like Taylor Swift said, tortured poet, of just, there's that one thing about just being an artist, and then you're just going to create this no matter what it looks like. I'm going to have this thing right out in the world to see. And now you have to switch gears, and now you have to market yourself, especially in this day and age. You have to market yourself, no matter if you have the greatest publisher tooting their horn, because they have they have all the connects. At the end of the day, they're still looking at you online, how your presence is and all that. And so, to answer your question, I ended up deciding to I didn't want to pay anybody to build my website. I didn't want to pay anybody to manage my social media accounts. I figured it's cheaper if I learn it. It's the whole teach a person to fish. The conundrum there is that never ends. You cannot stop it. The moment you stop it, then you're not trending, or you've lost the analytics have gone down and all of that. So it's just, and you're an author, so can you afford a team
Right. Right.
to just do that? Because I know how, as working as a copywriter, I mean, it's thousands of dollars,
Yep.
and it takes just that whole thing, how
Yeah.
long it takes just to see some results, and then to maintain it. And God forbid if the website goes down, then you've lost all that you gained and all that. So, and then on top of that, you've got this other book in your head that you want to create. So now you have to switch to
Oh, yeah, you got to
artist
leave that
again.
alone, folks. Yeah, we
Yeah.
all have that, and that's dangerous voice number two. Don't listen to
Hmm.
that one either, because I can't tell you how many people I've mentored who have three or four different books they've never finished. They saw a
Hmm.
shiny penny in a corner and they went, "Oh," pushed it
Hmm.
aside. And it's usually when they're coming down the home stretch of being done. It's not like
Hmm.
they get 2 pages in, but we can't listen to that voice. Uh,
Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty about the marketing side. I don't know many people who like it. I'm with you though. I was the same way. I wanted to learn how to edit podcasts. I wanted to learn how to market a book. I wanted to learn all that just in case the power went out and I'd have to do that. And I think
Hmm.
we've all been in a situation where we leaned on somebody and for whatever reason they weren't there. And
Hmm.
now what?
Hmm.
We never
Hmm.
learned how to do it. So
Hmm.
and one last thing, I really like what you're saying. You tapped on it about 10 minutes ago, but people need to understand it doesn't matter who your publisher is. It could be a hybrid, self-published. It could be one of the big publishers, and I have relationships with many of them. Simon and Schuster does it the same way. They're going to send out a couple hundred manuscripts, get about 4% return on somebody wanting to maybe do a review, and then it falls on the author's shoulders. So I've always been a believer that if there is a budget, I would put it into the marketing side of that book. Hold on to it. And
Hmm.
publicists aren't cheap, but people don't wind up on the Today Show because they sent a letter. They wind up because the publicist has a relationship with the Today Show and
Hmm.
they sent a letter. So it's just a matter of what budget we have. The easiest
Hmm.
move we can make is just make sure you launch it right. You
Hmm.
work so hard, pack that room up. 50 people. I don't care if a few of them are from the CVS, counter. I don't care where you met them. I want 50 people in that room because that's your tribe and that's that first push and those first reviews and everything getting going. But it's tough. The marketing side, it intimidates a lot of people.
Oh, the other thing about marketing, since you touched on budget, is, don't fall in love with your product too much, because, I've done it as well. Like, oh, I'd like to see my name and the book cover on these and that, on a pin and on a shirt and on this. But you really have to be practical on cost, and who is actually really going to want to wear that, and to the point where they can buy it. You give it to
Yeah.
them for free, they're gonna, of course, take it and buy it. Who want, but and you really have to think about, okay, so how many events do you have lined up so that where you have these items that you can actually sell along with your book, that you can turn around in a quick amount of time for a profit. Otherwise, they're just going to sit there, and they're just not going to make any money, and you might as well give them away because it's gone anyway.
I got a few of them
So,
kicking around the office here. I'm
yeah.
not proud of it,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
hey, I know what I'm talking about from experience.
we're both subject matter experts on that one.
Yeah.
And one last thing that you really gave me a reminder of is that make sure I love what you said. Let's kind of put our ego over here and let's look at the book, not our ego, because I dropped in the term the Today Show. I worked with publicists. I remember I was working with one, and she said, "Is that what you want to be on?" And I said, "Yeah." "Oh, I'd love to be on that." She said, "I can get you on there." She said, "But I'm just one question. Why do you want to get on that show?" And I said, "Well, to sell books." She said, "Well, then we're not going to put you on that show. That show does not sell books. And it's a fact in the industry. I'm not putting the show down. I'm just saying it's a wonderful thing. You can tell your friends. What a great life experience. For business authors, Forbes magazine sells books. I mean, they know who actually buys the books. So sometimes we have to take that ego and go, is this a move I'm making for my ego? Or is this a move I'm making for the book?" And they can fool you. That's why you want to talk to people who've been there, and they'll tell you. Anyway, that's what I learned. And so I said, all right, I guess I'm not going to be on that show. And that was the end of that. But she was right. She got us into some other things, and it moved the needle. That's what we're looking to do. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. How do people get a hold of you?
ZorinaFrey.com.
Why don't you spell that out? Because I'm telling you, no one's going to spell fry right.
No, they're not.
That's the easy part I learned before we started. Okay. Spell that out for everybody.
Z as in zebra, ORIN as in Nancy, AFREY.com.
Perfect. And no dot in the middle there. Okay, good. The book is called, that we were talking about earlier, was Preaching to the Mic. There's some other books there. So now that you have the author's name, you can go to and check them all out. But when you do, grab a copy, and please, for any author, this one or any author, when you get a book, write a review on the book. It's the kindest thing you can do. It really means a lot to the author, and it moves the needle on Amazon. So we want those reviews. So every author is extremely grateful when you do it. Correct?
Amen.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to you. Love getting into the process. I think you and I share a few different things, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and wish you nothing but success, and keep writing.
All right. Thank you, Rob.
You bet. Well, we'll do it again as well as we can next time, everybody. Until then, stay safe.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's guest author, we'd love you to rate, review, and share this episode with others. If you'd like more information on today's guest or the Maryland Writers Association, please visit our website at marylandwriters.org. You can also find out about the history of the Maryland Writers Association by listening to our first podcast, Episode 0.